Hari Om. Om Hari Om. Om Sahana Avatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvina Aditamastu Ma Vidvishava Ai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om, may the Divine Being look over us lovingly as a mother and father. May the Divine Being support and nourish us as a mother and father. May we have the strength and skill to study together the art of spirituality. May no misunderstandings arise amongst us. Om, peace, peace, peace be unto thee, unto us, and to all your beloved children everywhere. Hari Om Tat Sat. Dearly beloved, make it so. So, namaste, and welcome to our Tuesday evening reading and discussion of the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna. As we know, this is a powerful scripture created specifically for our instruction. We've heard this and we understand that that's what we're doing. We're being deliberately and very thoroughly instructed by Sri Ramakrishna in the principles and practices of spiritual realization. So if there are no other comments left from last week or any other discussion, Jaimo will tell us where we are in the book, and we'll go ahead. All right, dear, please go ahead.
Okay, good evening and namaste, everyone. And we are on page 81 on PDF. And the topic is, I'm going to start at how to see God. Just a little bit, few lines before where we stopped. So this would connect better. So the topic is how to see God. M, is it possible to see God? Master, yes, certainly. Living in solitude now and then, repeating God's name and singing his glories, and discriminating between the real and the unreal, these are the means to employ to see him. Next topic, longing and yearning. M, under what conditions does one see God? Master, cry to the Lord with an intensely yearning heart, and you will certainly see him. People shed a whole jug of tears for wife and children. They swim in tears for money, but who weeps for God? Cry to him with a real cry. The Master sang, cry to your mother Shyama with a real cry, O mind, and how can she hold herself from you? How can Shyama stay away? How can your mother Kali hold herself away? O mind, you are in the earnest. Bring her an offering of bell leaves and hibiscus flowers. Lay at her feet your offering, and with it mingle the fragrant sandal paste of love. Continuing, he said, longing is like the rosy dawn. After the dawn out comes the sun. Longing is followed by the vision of God. God reveals himself to a devotee who feels drawn to him by the combined force of these three attractions. The attraction of worldly possessions for the worldly man, the child's attraction for its mother, and the husband's attraction for the chaste wife. If one feels drawn to him by the combined force of these three attractions, then through it one can attain him.
Would you read again those three
I
attractions?
sure. God reveals himself to a devotee who feels drawn to him by the combined force of these three attractions. The attraction of worldly possessions for the worldly man, the child's attraction for its mother, and the husband's attraction for the chaste wife. If one feels drawn to him by the combined force of these three attractions, then through it one can attain him. The point is to love God even as the mother loves her child, the chaste wife with her husband, and the worldly man his wealth. Add together these three forces of love, these three powers of attraction, and give it all to God. Then you will certainly see him. It is necessary to pray him with a longing heart. The kitten knows only how to call its mother, crying, meow, meow. It remains satisfied wherever its mother puts it. And the mother cat puts the kitten sometimes in the kitchen, sometimes on the floor, and sometimes on the bed. When it suffers, it cries only meow, meow. That's all it knows. But as soon as the mother hears this cry, wherever she may be, she comes to the kitten. Next topic, third visit.
Now hold on just one moment.
Sure, Brother Shankara. Any comments?
This kitten mind is so heavily recommended by Sri Ramakrishna. He says there's two ways of being with the mother. As the monkey mind, holding on to the mother's back and riding the mother and letting go whenever it seems like the thing to do, and perhaps falling. But the kitten doesn't grab on and let go, grab on and let go. The kitten just says, mew, mew. Now, this is a very difficult way to be, to surrender yourself in such a way that the mother's will is the only thing that comes to you. But it is extremely effective. In this business of weeping for God, there's a wonderful poem in that book, Love Poems from God. And I forget which one of the saints wrote it. But it said, I think it's Saint Teresa of Avila, that she went on a walk all around the world with the Lord, who was in awe of the souls that he beheld. But he paused and knelt, the divine presence, paused and knelt before anyone who was weeping or who was laughing. And so this is the power that Sri Ramakrishna talks about when he says that if you weep for God, if you take this kitten attitude of mew mew, you cannot be denied. Any comments or questions or concerns about any of that? All right, dears. Let us move on.
The next topic, third visit. It was Sunday afternoon when M came on his third visit to the Master. He had been profoundly impressed by his first two visits to this wonderful man. He had been thinking of the Master constantly and of the utterly simple way he explained the deep truths of the spiritual life. Never before had he met such a man. Sri Ramakrishna was sitting on the small couch. The room was filled with devotees, 3 who had taken advantage of the holiday to come to see the Master. M had not yet become acquainted with any of them, so he took his seat in a corner. The Master smiled as he talked with the devotees. Narendra. He addressed his words particularly to a young man of 19 named Narendranath, who was a college student and frequented the Sadharan Brahmo Samaj. His eyes were bright, his words were full of spirit, and he had the look of a lover of God. The next topic, how the spiritually minded should look on the worldly. M guessed that the conversation was about worldly men who look down on those who aspire to spiritual things. The Master was talking about the great number of such people in the world and about how to deal with them. Master to Narendra, how do you feel about it? Worldly people say all kinds of things about the spiritually minded. But look here, when an elephant moves along the street, any number of curs and other small animals may bark and cry after it. But the elephant doesn't even look at them. If people speak ill of you, what will you think of them? Narendra, I shall think that dogs are barking at me. Next topic, God in every being. Master smiling, oh no, you mustn't go that far, my child. Laughter. God dwells in all beings, but you may be intimate only with good people. You must keep away from the evil-minded. God is even in the tiger, but you cannot embrace the tiger on that account. Laughter. You may say, why run away from a tiger, which is also a manifestation of God? The answer to that is, those who tell you to run away are also manifestations of God. And why shouldn't you listen to them? Next, parable of the elephant God. Let me tell you a story. In a forest, there lived a holy man who had many disciples. One day, he taught them to see God in all beings, and knowing this, to bow low before them all. A disciple went to the forest to gather wood for the sacrificial fire. Suddenly, he heard an outcry, "Get out of the way! A mad elephant is coming." All but the disciple of the holy man took to their heels. He reasoned that the elephant was also God in another form. Then why should he run away from it? He stood still, bowed before the animal, and began to sing its praises. The mahat of the elephant was shouting, "Run away, run away." But the disciple didn't move. The animal seized him with its trunk, cast him to one side, and went on its way. Hurt and bruised, the disciple lay unconscious on the ground. Hearing what had happened, his teacher and his brother disciples came to him and carried him to the hermitage. With the help of some medicine, he soon regained consciousness. Someone asked him, "You knew the elephant was coming. Why didn't you leave the place?" "But," he said, "our teacher has told us that God himself has taken all these forms of animals as well as men, therefore thinking it was only the elephant god that was coming. I didn't run away. At this, the teacher said, "Yes, my child, it is true that the elephant god was coming, but the Mahat god forbade you to stay there. Since all are manifestations of God, why didn't you trust the Mahat's words? You should have heeded the words of the Mahat God." Laughter. It is said in the scriptures that water is a form of God, but some water is fit to be used for worship, some water for washing the face, and some only for washing plates or dirty linen. This last sort cannot be used for drinking or for a holy purpose. In like manner, God undoubtedly dwells in the hearts of all, holy and unholy, righteous and unrighteous, but a man should not have dealings with the unholy, the wicked, the impure. He must not be intimate with them. With some of them he may exchange words, but the others, he shouldn't go even that far. He should keep aloof from such people. That's the end of the parable of the elephant god. Any comments or any purport, Brother Shankara?
Well, I think we can see the connection
Mm-hmm.
between this and the kitten mind.
Exactly.
If we listen to the words of the Mahut God, if we do not try to assert ourselves and our opinions, we will receive grace that wouldn't otherwise be available to us, and we will be able to appreciate it in that spirit. Anything else from anyone? All right, dear, please read on.
Next topic is how to deal with the wicked. A devotee: "Sir, if a wicked man is about to do harm or actually does so, should we keep quiet then?" Master: "A man living in society should make a show of tamas to protect himself from evil-minded people, but he should not harm anybody in anticipation of harm likely to be done him." Next is parable of the snake.
Hold on just one moment.
Sure.
We must not act in anticipation of harm being done to us. This is a very important idea. If we're constantly on the alert that some harm is going to be done to us and readying ourselves to respond to that harm, we will be eternally distracted. So we must not concern ourselves about this. And this parable of the snake is going to give us some very good instructions in this particular way of being and thinking. So unless there's someone else who'd like to say something, dear heart, please read on.
Parable of the snake. Listen to a story. Some cowherd boys used to tend their cows in a meadow where a terrible poisonous snake lived. Everyone was on the alert for fear of it. One day, a brahmachari was going along the meadow. The boys ran to him and said, "Revered sir, please don't go that way. A venomous snake lives over there." "What of it, my good children?" said the brahmachari. "I'm not afraid of the snake. I know some mantras." So saying, he continued on his way along the meadow. But the cowherd boys, being afraid, did not accompany him. In the meantime, the snake moved swiftly toward him with upraised hood. As soon as it came near, he recited a mantra, and the snake lay at his feet like an earthworm. The brahmachari said, "Look here, why do you go about doing harm? Come, I'll give you a holy word. By repeating it, you will learn to love God. Ultimately, you will realize Him and so get rid of your violent nature." Saying this, he taught the snake a holy word and initiated him into spiritual life. The snake bowed before the teacher and said, "Revered sir, how shall I practice spiritual discipline?" "Repeat the sacred word," said the teacher, "and do no harm to anybody." As he was about to depart, the brahmachari said, "I shall see you again." Some days passed, and the cowherd boys noticed that the snake would not bite. They threw stones at it. Still, it showed no anger. It behaved as if it were an earthworm. One day, one of the boys came close to it, caught it by the tail, and whirling it round and round, dashed it again and again on the ground and threw it away. The snake vomited blood and became unconscious. It was stunned. It could not move. So, thinking it dead, the boys went their way. Late at night, the snake regained consciousness. Slowly, with great difficulty, it dragged itself into its hole. Its bones were broken, and it could scarcely move. Many days passed. The snake became a mere skeleton covered with the skin. Now and then, at night, it would come out in search of food. For fear of the boys, it would not leave its hole during the daytime. Since receiving the sacred word from the teacher, it had given up doing harm to others. It maintained its life on dirt, leaves, or the fruit that dropped from the trees. About a year later, the brahmachari came that way again and asked after the snake. The cowherd boys told him that it was dead, but he couldn't believe them. He knew that the snake would not die before attaining the fruit of the holy word with which it had been initiated. He found his way to the place and, searching here and there, called it by the name he had given it. Hearing the teacher's voice, it came out of its hole and bowed before him with great reverence. "How are you?" asked the brahmachari. "I am well, sir," replied the snake. But the teacher asked, "Why are you so thin?" The snake replied, "Revered sir, you ordered me not to harm anybody. So I've been living only on leaves and fruit. Perhaps that has made me thinner." The snake had developed the quality of sattva. It could not be angry with anyone. It had totally forgotten that the cowherd boys had almost killed it. The brahmachari said, "It can be mere want of food that has reduced you to this state. There must be some other reason. Think a little." Then the snake remembered that the boys had dashed it against the ground. It said, "Yes, revered sir, now I remember. The boys one day dashed me violently against the ground. They're ignorant after all. They didn't realize what a great change had come over my mind. How could they know I wouldn't bite or harm anyone?" The brahmachari exclaimed, "What a shame. You are such a fool. You don't know how to protect yourself. I asked you not to but I didn't forbid you to hiss. Why didn't you scare them by hissing? So you must hiss at wicked people. You must frighten them lest they should do you harm, but never inject your venom into them. One must not injure others. In this certain of God, there is a variety of things. Men animals, trees, plants. Among the animals, some are good, some are bad. There are ferocious animals like the tiger. Some trees bear fruit, some bear fruit sweet as nectar, and others bear fruit that's poisonous. Likewise, among human beings, there are, let me just go back. There are the good and the wicked, the holy and the unholy. There are some who devoted to God and others who are attached to the world. That's the end of that topic, Brother Shankara.
Yes, is there anything that anyone would like to ask or add to that story? Anything that anyone would like to remark about this?
Wonderful parable, Brother Shankara. Both of them are great. Elephant and this one too. Both are wonderful. Great examples for our lives, how to live life as a worldly person.
Precisely. Anything at all from anyone else? All right, dear, please read on.
4 classes of men. Men may be divided into 4 classes. Those bound by the fetters of the world, the seekers after liberation, the liberated, and the ever free. Among the ever free, we may count sages like Narada. They live in the world for the good of others to teach men spiritual truth. Those in bondage are sunk in worldliness and forgetful of God. Not even by mistake do they think of God. The seekers after liberation want to free themselves from attachment to the world. Some of them succeed and others do not. The liberated souls, such as the sadhus and Mahatmas, are not entangled in the world, in woman and gold. Their minds are free from worldliness. Besides, they always meditate on the lotus feet of God. Suppose a net has been cast into a lake to catch fish. Some fish are so clever that they are never caught in the net. They are like the ever free. But most of the fish are entangled in the net. Some of them try to free themselves from it, and they are like those who seek liberation. But not all the fish that struggle succeed. A very few do jump out of the net, making a big splash in the water. Then the fishermen shout, "Look, there goes a big one." But most of the fish caught in the net cannot escape, nor do they make any effort to get out. On the contrary, they burrow into the mud with the net in their mouths and lie there quietly thinking, "We need not fear any more. We are quite safe here." But the poor things do not know that the fishermen will drag them out with the net. These are like the men bound to the world. The bound souls are tied to the world by the fetters of woman and gold. They are bound hand and foot, thinking that woman and gold will make them happy and give them security. They do not realize that it will lead them to annihilation. When a man thus bound to the world is about to die, his wife asks, "You are about to go, but what have you done for me?" Again, such is his attachment to the things of the world that when he sees the lamp burning brightly, he says, "Dim the light, too much oil is being used," and he is on his deathbed. The bound souls never think of God. If they get any leisure, they indulge in idle gossip and foolish talk, or they engage in fruitless work. If you ask one of them the reason, he answers, "Oh, I cannot keep still, so I am making a hedge." When time hangs heavy on their hands, they perhaps start playing cards. There was a deep silence in the room. That's the end of that particular topic. We move on to redeeming power of faith. Any comments, Brother Shankara, from you?
What is the next topic?
It's redeeming power of faith.
Is there anything else that anyone else would like to say about what we've just heard read? It's very potent indeed.
It is very much.
I must say, just that last sentence, there was deep silence.
Yes.
That itself explains how everybody was looking inside, and including me here, to identify with that situation or with that mindset.
Very true.
When time hangs heavy on their hands,
Yes.
they think of playing cards.
Mhm.
Now, is there anything wrong with playing cards? No. It's not as if it's wrong. It's just a rather futile way to spend your time. So this is what Shailesh was pointing toward when he recalled that it said there was a great silence in the room. Because people were pondering, I do that. Anything else? Thank you, Shailesh.
On the contrary, a side note, sorry. Guru of Nisargadatta Maharaj would play cards till 3 o'clock in the morning, every day. But he was a Paramahamsa, you know.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah, it's
It just
I don't know.
just goes to show you that you cannot judge the actions of saints. We have no idea why they're doing what they're doing.
But he is looking at the god of cards, and then he is contemplating.
No, he was in a very high state. You know,
Yes.
It was quite amazing. He would talk about Vairagya, and of course, he was very strict. He was a family man, Guru of Nisargadatta Maharaj, and very, very strict and very straight to the point. But I mean, when they were traveling to Kashmir and all back in those days, I think I'm talking about 1920, 1910. Around the same time, actually, this book may have been written later on. So there was not much entertainment, and he may have seen that the devotees are chit-chatting and gossiping. Then probably because instead of gossiping, playing cards is probably better. I was wondering. I don't know, but anyway, I mean, sorry, I didn't mean to take a detour here.
It's all right. There is something to be learned from the numerology of card playing.
My guess would be that he wasn't just playing cards to play cards. I'm sure that along the way he taught the devotees in the process.
Correct. Yeah.
No doubt. And just the power of his concentration on what he was doing must have been a lesson all in itself. All right. Anything else from anyone? Okay, read on, dear.
Redeeming power of faith. A devotee. Sir, is there no help then for such a worldly person? Master. Certainly there is. From time to time, he should live in the company of holy men, and from time to time, go into solitude to meditate on God. Furthermore, he should practice discrimination and pray to God, give me faith and devotion. Once a person has faith, he has achieved everything. There's nothing greater than faith. To Kedar, you must have heard about the tremendous power of faith. It is said in the Purana that Rama, who was God himself, the embodiment of absolute Brahman, had to build a bridge to cross the sea to Ceylon. But Hanuman, trusting in Rama's name, cleared the sea in one jump and reached the other side. He had no need of a bridge, all land. Once a man was about to cross the sea, Vibhishana wrote Rama's name on a leaf, tied it in a corner of the man's wearing cloth, and said to him, "Don't be afraid. Have faith and walk on the water. But look here, the moment you lose faith, you will be drowned." The man was walking easily on the water. Suddenly, he had an intense desire to see what was tied in his cloth. He opened it and found only a leaf with the name of Rama written on it. "What is this?" he thought. "Just the name of Rama?" As soon as doubt entered his mind, he sank under the water. If a man has faith in God, then even if he has committed the most heinous sins, such as killing a cow, a Brahmin, or a woman, he will certainly be saved through his faith. Let him only say to God, "O Lord, I will not repeat such an action," and he need not be afraid of anything. When he had said this, the master sang, "If only I can pass away repeating Durga's name, how canst thou then, O blessed one, withhold from me deliverance, wretched though I may be? I may have stolen a drink of wine, or killed a child unborn, or slain a woman or a cow, or even caused a Brahmin's death. But though it all be true, nothing of this can make me feel the least uneasiness. For through the power of thy sweet name, my wretched soul may still aspire even to Brahmanhood." That's the end of that topic, Brother Shankara. We're going to Parable of the Homer Bird. Next topic.
Anything from anyone about what we've just read?
Like we always discussed, faith can move mountains. Right, Brother Shankara? I strongly believe in that. Faith really moves mountains. Even Hanuman, with the faith of Rama, he carried the Sanjeeva. All he wanted was one stick, but he carried the whole hill. That's how in Puranas say that he carried the whole Sanjeeva mountain.
Yes, he couldn't remember
Yes.
what the herbs it was that he was supposed to bring.
Or Sanjeeva, which makes the
Hill.
Sanjeeva stick. Instead of bringing one stick, he just takes the whole hill, completely the hill of sun to.
Yes, exactly.
Because of the faith in Rama, that's what he had. He could move the mountain. Any comments from anyone? Otherwise, I'll move on.
All right, dears, please move on.
Parable of the Homer bird. Pointing to Narendra, the master said, "You all see this boy. He behaves that way here. A naughty boy seems very gentle when with his father, but he's quite another person when he plays in the Chandni." Narendra and people of his type belong to the class of the ever-free. They are never entangled in the world. When they grow a little older, they feel the awakening of inner consciousness and go directly toward God. They come to the world only to teach others. They never care for anything of the world. They are never attached to woman and gold. The Vedas speak of the Homer bird. It lives high up in the sky, and there it lays its egg. As soon as the egg is laid, it begins to fall. But it is so high up that it continues to fall for many days. As it falls, it hatches, and the chick falls. As the chick falls, its eyes open. It grows wings. As soon as its eyes open, it realizes that it's falling and will be dashed to pieces on touching the earth. Then it at once shoots up toward the mother bird, high in the sky. At this point, Narendra left the room. Kedar, Prankrishna, M, and many others remained. Master praises Narendra. Master, you see, Narendra excels in singing, playing on instruments, study, and everything. The other day, he had a discussion with Kedar and tore his arguments to shreds. All laugh. To M, is there any book in English on reasoning? M, yes, sir, there is. It is called Logic. Master, tell me what it says. M was a little embarrassed. He said, one part of the book deals with the deduction from the general to the particular. For example, all men are mortal. Scholars are men. Therefore, scholars are mortal. Another part deals with the method of reasoning from the particular to the general. For example, this crow is black. That crow is black. The crows we see everywhere are black. Therefore, all crows are black. But there may be a fallacy in a conclusion arrived at it in this way. For on inquiry, one may find a white crow in some country. There is another illustration. If there is rain, there is or has been a cloud. Therefore, rain comes from a cloud. Still another example. This man has 32 teeth. That man has 32 teeth. All the men we see have 32 teeth. Therefore, men have 32 teeth. English logic deals with such inductions and deductions. Sri Ramakrishna barely heard these words. While listening, he became absent-minded, so the conversation did not proceed far. When the meeting broke up, the devotees sauntered in the temple garden. M went in the direction of the Panchavati. It was about 5 o'clock in the afternoon. After a while, he returned to the master's room. There, on the small north veranda, he witnessed an amazing sight. Sri Ramakrishna was standing still, surrounded by a few devotees, and Narendra was singing. M had never heard anyone except the master sing so sweetly. When he looked at Sri Ramakrishna, he was struck with wonder, for the master stood motionless with the eyes transfixed. He seemed not even to breathe. A devotee told M that the master was in samadhi. M had never before seen or heard of such a thing. Silent with wonder, he thought, is it possible for a man to be so oblivious of the outer world in the consciousness of God? How deep his faith and devotion must be to bring about such a state. Narendra was singing. Meditate, O my mind, on the Lord Hari, the stainless one, pure spirit through and through. How peerless is the light that in him shines. How soul bewitching is his wondrous form. How dear is he to all his devotees. Even more beauteous in fresh blossoming love that shames the splendor of a million moons. Like lightning gleams the glory of his form, raising erect the hair for very joy. The master shuddered when the last line was sung. His head stood on end, and tears of joy streamed down his cheeks. Now and then his lips parted in a smile. Was he seeing the peerless beauty of God that shames the splendor of a million moons? Was this the vision of God, the essence of spirit? How much austerity and discipline, how much faith and devotion must be necessary for such a vision. The song went on. Worship his feet in the lotus of your heart, with mind serene and eyes made radiant with heavenly love. Behold that matchless sight. Again that bewitching smile, the body motionless as before, the eyes half shut as if beholding a strange inner vision. The song drew to a close. Narendra sang the last lines. Caught in the spell of his love's ecstasy, immerse yourself forevermore, O mind, in him who is pure knowledge and pure bliss. The sight of the samadhi and the divine bliss he had witnessed left an indelible impression on M's mind. He returned home deeply moved. Now and then he could hear within himself the echo of those soul-intoxicating lines. Immerse yourself forevermore, O mind, in him who is pure knowledge and pure bliss. That's the end of that topic. We're going to fourth visit of him.
Is there anything that anyone would like to bring forward about the nature of M's third visit? Remembering that there is a significance to each of these numbers. 3 is the number of first real manifestation. 0, no manifestation. 1, the first subtle manifestation. 2, the first subtle feminine manifestation. 3, the first overt within time, space, and causation manifestation. Anything that you relate to what M learned and experienced here that perhaps relates to that number 3. And now we're going on to number 4. Number 4 is the consolidation of the divine feminine. And so we'll discover something of that in this fourth meeting. Anything else from anyone?
I see that M has developed his faith in Sri Ramakrishna by his third visit completely. It started growing, and then by third visit, he already developed his faith in him. He could see how he is and how immersed he is. That's what I see here, Brother Shankara.
Lovely.
Anyone else has any comments? Please do before I start.
Last year I visited Velur and also Dakshineshwar in the northern veranda, and there were so many people, and I sat and meditated in the northern veranda, and it's a space about 10 feet by 20 feet or so. It's a corridor, like a veranda, open. And exactly opposite, about 20 feet away, is Naha there. So I was just imagining how that would have been, that scene would have been. But then M says that he went home and then he tried to remember, go immerse yourself in the absolute or divine being, and whatever that word he's using there. From there, how long he was there, and then he went home, and then he thought about it. It's probably half an hour distance, and like nowadays we have YouTube and recordings, so we stop and we go back and we ponder upon and listen and then go back. But back then, there was nothing like that. You are just looking at a live scene, someone going into a samadhi, thinking about it, listening to it, recording it, and then going home and then thinking about it. There is no, you cannot visit that scene. It's just in your mind. And that was too when I was going at the center. Sometimes when the Swamis come over here and they say something, Swami Surapriyananda or Swami Dhyanananda was here. So the mind has to be very focused and disciplined, and we have to go with a purpose, saying, thinking that, I'm going to pay attention carefully and listen to what there is to listen. And so, anyway, I was just thinking about that logistics part. And I remember Swami Chinmayananda's guru, Tapovan Maharaj, he was very strict about it. He would say, whatever I say only once, and you have to remember it. And so back in those days, that's how it was. Nowadays, we are so, the mind is, you can go back and listen to it, stop. That's what I do, to learn something on YouTube. But just that observation I wanted to share. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
How are we doing for time?
Have about 8 minutes, Brother Shankara. We could do a little bit more.
Very good. Yes, let's go.
Okay. Fourth visit. Day 2 was a holiday for M. He arrived at Dakshineshwar at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Sri Ramakrishna was in his room. Narendra, Bhavanand, and a few other devotees were sitting on a mat spread on the floor. They were all young men of 19 or 20. Seated on the small couch, Sri Ramakrishna was talking with them and smiling. No sooner had M entered the room than the master laughed aloud and said to the boys, "There he has come again." They all joined in the laughter. M bowed low before him and took a seat. Before this, he had saluted the master with folded hands, like one with an English education. But that day, he learned to fall down at his feet in an orthodox Hindu fashion. Next is the peacock and the opium. Presently, the master explained the cause of his laughter to the devotees. He said, a man once fed a peacock with a pill of opium at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. The next day, exactly at that time, the peacock came back. It had felt the intoxication of the drug and returned just in time to have another dose. All laugh. M thought this a very apt illustration. Even at home, he had been unable to banish the thought of Sri Ramakrishna for a moment. His mind was constantly at Dakshineshwar, and he had counted the minutes until he should go again. In the meantime, the master was having great fun with the boys, treating them as if they were his most intimate friends. Peals of side-splitting laughter filled the room as if it were a mart of joy. The whole thing was a revelation to M. He thought, didn't I see him only yesterday, intoxicated with God? Wasn't he swimming then in the ocean of divine love? A sight I had never seen before. And today the same person is behaving like an ordinary man. Wasn't it he who scolded me on the first day of my coming here? Didn't he admonish me saying, "And you're a man of knowledge"? Wasn't it he who said to me that God with form is as true as God without form? Didn't he tell me that God alone is real and all else illusory? Wasn't it he who advised me to live in the world unattached, like a maidservant in a rich man's house? Sri Ramakrishna was having great fun with the young devotees. Now and then he glanced at M. He noticed that M sat in silence. The master said to Ramlal, "You see, he's a little advanced in years and therefore somewhat serious.
Mhm.
He sits quiet while the youngsters are making merry." M was then about 28 years old. Now the next topic is Hanuman's devotion to Rama. Any comments, Brother Shankara, about M's questioning in his own mind?
Just that he is learning
Yes.
what it really means to be in the presence of a holy man who has no other thought than to lift up those around him. He has no desire for money. He has no desire for prestige. He has only a desire to lift up those around him. So now we're going to hear about a particular instance of this kind of devotion, this kind of relationship between a great soul in one form and a great soul in the other. So please read on.
Sure. Hanuman's devotion to Rama is the next topic. The conversation drifted to Hanuman, whose picture hung on the wall in the master's room. Sri Ramakrishna said, "Just imagine Hanuman's state of mind. He didn't care for money, honor, creature comforts, or anything else. He longed only for God. When he was running away with the heavenly weapon that had been secreted in the crystal pillar, Mandodari began to tempt him with various fruits so that he might come down and drop the weapon. But he couldn't be tricked so easily. In reply to her persuasions, he sang this song. Am I in need of fruit? I have the fruit that makes this life fruitful indeed. Within my heart, the tree of Rama grows, bearing salvation for its fruit." By the way, Mandodari is Ravanasura's wife. If anyone who didn't know, that the evil Raksh, evil devil or whatever you call Ravanasura who stole Sita there. That's Mandodari. Under the wish-fulfilling tree of Rama, do I sit at ease, plucking whatever fruit I will? But if you speak of fruit, no beggar, I for common fruit. Behold, I go, leaving a bitter fruit for you. As Sri Ramakrishna was singing the song, he went into Samadhi again. He went into Samadhi. Again, the half-closed eyes and motionless body that one sees in his photograph. Just a minute before, the devotees had been making merry in his company. Now all eyes were riveted on him. Thus, for the second time, M saw the master in Samadhi. After a long time, the master came back to ordinary consciousness. His face lighted with a smile, and his body relaxed. His senses began to function in a normal way. He shed tears of joy as he repeated the holy name of Rama. M wondered whether this very same person who a few minutes earlier had been behaving like a child of 5. The master said to Narendra and M, I should like to hear you speak and argue in English. They both laughed, but they continued to talk in their mother tongue. It was impossible for M to argue any more before the master. Though Ramakrishna insisted, they did not talk in English. At 5 o'clock in the afternoon, all the devotees except Narendra and M took leave of the master. As M was walking in the temple garden, he suddenly came upon the master talking to Narendra on the bank of the goose pond. Sri Ramakrishna said to Narendra, look here, come a little more often. You are a newcomer. On first acquaintance, people visit each other quite often, as is the case with the lover and his sweetheart. Narendra and M laugh. So please come, won't you? Brother Shankara, it's 8:30 your time. Do you want me to stop here? And then
Yes.
we'll catch up next week from beginning, maybe.
Exactly.
Hanuman's devotion to Rama, I'll start from there. That would be good beginning.
Yes.
Okay, Brother Shankara, thank you.
Anything that anyone would like to offer before we sign off? All right, dears.
Just one thing, Brother Shankara. I'm
Yes,
sorry.
dear.
Just a thought to share. See, Sri Ramakrishna saying whatever he said to Narendra and him, and they both laughed, thinking they were a little smarter or they were in the control or whatever, in a way. And that's what we do usually, is that we think that we can, we know our situation better than the divine knows. Just a parallel I thought about. That's it. Thank you.
Yes, we're constantly caught up in that. Because our left mind, is so habitual to solving the problems of life. We think that we know better. Well, the fact is, it's not possible for us to know better. Because though our left mind is, as Jack Schwartz said, hardwired and very intelligent, that which created it is not hardwired and even more intelligent. So this is how we grow and learn, by letting it be known to ourselves that we really don't understand. We really don't know what's best for us.
Thank you, Shailesh and Brother Shankara.
Yes.
If I make a
Namaste.
short comment, please. We talked about faith a while ago, and even developing faith requires grace of God. And as Swami Nikhilananda ji said in his book about Thakur and his divine play, Mathur, he had complete control over the finances, but he had the faith in Thakur, and he served him for 11 years without ever having any slightest doubt in Thakur being the divine God person.
Indeed. Well said. Well thought. Jai Shri Guru Maharaj. Durga, Durga, Durga. May we be safe. May we be healthy. May we be cheerful. May we have peace of mind. May we go forward in the secure knowledge that we are in the loving and protective embrace of our divine parents, our mother and father. We are in their loving and protective embrace. Jai Shri Guru Maharaj Ji. May we all be well and in bright spirits. Until tomorrow night. So good to have been with you.
Thank you.